Good morning. Quote is, she understood that the hardest times in life to go through were when you are transitioning from one version of yourself to another. And that's Sarah Addison Ellen. Um, Today we wanted to touch on just changing. We were talking about how our goals change as we grow every year, doing vision boards and stuff. Generally speaking, your goals will not stay the same as you grow. What you wanted last year might not serve you this year, it might not be the thing that drives you forward.
And even, goals that you maybe set at the beginning of the year, it's March now, maybe you're really just finding that they're not aligning with who you're growing to be. And it's okay to let those things change. And sometimes we feel resistant, like we set this goal, so we have to do it. We have to accomplish it. Maybe we don't want others to see us fail, or we feel like we're failing when really these things are coming up for a reason. And we're just being called to shift directions. And it's just allowing that to happen and knowing that it's okay. Because if you have something that is not serving you, then that's okay. It's okay to let go of that and maybe just focus on the other things that are on your heart, because those are the things that are calling you.
Yeah, I think back to when I started doing my vision boards in my journal. And so every single, like there's 6 different pages or something like that, because there's like health, and then there's like just my own like things that drive me, like my personal power stuff. There's life goals, there's 3-month goals, there's materialistic things that I would like to see come to fruition, and then like my why. And we were just talking about this morning, just that changes all the time. Like, say maybe a year ago, it was really important to me that I run a half marathon. Well, that's kind of happened where I had that on my goal list, and then I ran like a 10K, and was feeling kind of sore from that. And I was like, I don't know if I needed some time to let that go and then see if it comes back to me. Because I do actually, like, that was 2 years ago now. So now I kind of like feel that desire to do that again. But at the time I was like, hell no, I'm not doing that. And Jill had just finished doing the full marathon, right, and like could barely like walk. She got up, this was really funny. She got up on the back of the truck on the wheel well to get something out of the back of the truck, because we were in Vancouver for it. And she couldn't get off. And Alicia just stood there laughing at her. And I actually had to like scoop her, and she like basically sat on my shoulder, and I like lifted her down off of the wheel well because I thought she was gonna fall. So, like that was a hard thing. And she did it, and it's amazing. She accomplished it, but I don't think she has a big, I mean, unless things have changed, which they had. But she she was like, I did it, and then now I'm done.
Yeah. And I was just, this like really makes me think, because I've been breaking through a lot in this area. So going to school, spending a lot of time getting my certification as a nail tech. I love it. I love the creative side that it's brought out in me. I love all of the opportunities that it's brought, but I'm just not as passionate about it. And I was having a really hard time thinking, if I don't do this, and I've failed, that I spent all this time doing something I thought I was supposed to do. But I'm really just realizing that there's different ways that I can go with it, where I can still be creative, but I get to shift into different things, and just know that it did serve me. It served me for the time that I did it, and that it is okay for your goals to change. That just because 5 years ago that served me to go through school and to become just because I have that certification doesn't mean that I have to follow that because I'm supposed to. For some reason, we go through this period. It's just life. It's society. Like, you have to go to school and you have to do the thing and get a career, and that's what you do. That's the thing that you do, and you don't get to change. But guess what? We do get to change. And so I'm really just learning to just let that go and know that it served me, and that I get to choose how I respond to that, and just follow my heart in this direction of these new goals and these new things that are calling me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's a lot of things. I went to school for child and youth care, thought that it was what I want to do. We were talking about like how you want, like we were talking about people pleasing and I just need to save them. I just need to save them. And that very much came into play when I was doing my child and youth care because I had gone because my brother had really struggled through his teen years. He was in and out of foster care, getting into trouble with the cops, a lot of different things. He was basically very lost. And I really wanted to help him and save him, but like you can only do so much, there's like the saying, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. That kind of stuff, because everyone's on their own journey. And I really see that now. And I realize that now I'm not so attached to saving people. I'm here, I'm available, I care, but I, I care as much as I can without becoming attached to what they're going through. To keep my own sanity, basically. And that's just how I feel about it now. I used to feel very differently, where I wanted to tell them that they were not on the right path. But now I realize I'm like, that's not my place to say.
Yeah.
I mean, you can reach a hand, but you can't force people.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. And that just reminds me of like giving ourselves permission to protect our own energy. Because if that thing that you're doing is not serving you and it's draining you, why do you want to keep showing up and doing that? If you have this thing that's on your heart that you're so passionate about and that's where you want to pour your energy into, it's okay to let go and to move into a different direction. And I was talking to Deb about like, we always go back and listen to our podcast episodes when they post. And I'm like, always feeling like it's the message that I need to hear, because I'm sharing this advice with everybody else and these experiences and this perspective. And sometimes it's really just about listening to yourself, because I hear the things that I share with other people, and a lot of times I don't apply those things to my own life. And then it's a reminder going back and listening, like, Deb, we know what we're talking about. Maybe we should take some advice from ourselves and do the thing that we're encouraging other people to do.
Well, what I just have going through my head, and I felt this way for a while, and I've read it somewhere or heard it somewhere, and that is that whenever you speak something to someone else, there's always a part of that advice that you can then take and consume for yourself, or it's a lesson that you learned somewhere or something. But what I think about is that we are all energy. We are all created like when the soul, like this is what I believe, when my body is let go of by my soul, I'm still energy. I'm still present. I don't go into the ground with my body. I don't turn to dirt with my body. My soul continues. So feeling that way and believing that, I believe that we are all very much connected. So when we can go to someone, and like we did at UFD, where we go and we say, the greatness I see in you, and you looking in someone else's, it's not because you know that person that you can say all these things. You've never met them before in your life. But the reality is the reason that we can see that is because we've seen it in ourselves. And everyone wants to feel the same things. They want to feel love. Most importantly, they want to feel loved. And then give love. Like, it just feels good. And if they can't get that, then it's kind of all, that's a totally different topic. But ultimately, I think that's what we as humans want. We want connection, we want love, and we want to experience that with other people. And that's why you can go to someone else and give advice, if you're giving advice, or just talking to them and then realize, yeah, that's something that I need to apply to myself, because we're always learning and growing.
Absolutely. And then it's that reminder. So we just finished reading The Secret in our book club, and this one thing that she says is just so beautiful, and it's remember to remember. So it's in those moments of giving advice to somebody else that we choose to slow down and remember where we are and where we're going and what we're passionate about and the goals that we have and the things that align with who we are. And that's where we realize sometimes there's just a shift in a different direction.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where we're supposed to go.
Yeah. And not like, yeah. And then I think that too, and maybe it's from school, from academia or something like that, where I don't know where I learned it, but for the longest time, I felt like in order to feel like I knew myself, I had to stay the same way forever. Like if
Yes.
I decided that blue was my favorite color in grade 2, then blue needed to be my favorite color when I was 30.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And maybe it is still, but I mean, and that to me doesn't even feel like that important. So that's like a really low level thing to even
Mm-hmm.
think about, but then to apply that, because you know, as you do one thing, you do all things, then to apply that and have that acting in other areas of your life that are going to be far more important than what is your favorite color, and thinking you just need to stay the same way. Like I like one thing that's popping into my head right now that had a huge impact on me was I had told myself I will never ever get a divorce ever, and it's and I kind of like challenged it, because I know now that you don't say never, you don't say never or don't or no or not, or like there's words that you just don't say because you are almost inviting those things to step into your life.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something that I look back on and I realize is that that was something I had told myself that I would never do. And so when it happened, it was literally a choice between saving myself or saving the marriage. And I felt incredibly torn about that happening, but I don't regret it 1 ounce. At this time, there's so many good things that have come from challenging my own belief system, and
Mm-hmm.
everything kind of crumbled apart, and then it's come back together.
Yeah.
Beautifully. So.
Yeah. And there's that quote that everything has to fall apart before it comes together.
Yeah.
And it's so true. And it actually just kind of reminds me of what we were talking about before this, is that it's really hard when you're in it to find joy and to look for the blessing that is in the mess or in the chaos, because you just feel like if you're dealing with something that's sad, you need to feel sad all the time. You're not allowed to be happy. We're kind of conditioned this way. Mm-hmm. And so if we can start consciously making that choice, like, you know what, this is really hard right now, but on the other side of this is something incredible. And so I'm just going to keep going. And that reminds me, the thing that's coming to me right now is the lotus flower. Mm-hmm. And we talked about how it literally grows in mud and muck and finds its way. And it doesn't just stop, and it doesn't, I mean, I don't know, we don't know what it's thinking, but there's no like complaining or this is too hard or like, well, you know, I might as well just like feel stuck and stay here. Mm-hmm. Just under the mud. Yeah, it just keeps going because it knows that it can.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, even probably through the muck, it's feeling the light, right? The light shining down, and it's searching for that.
Yeah, and just to keep going and know that, yes, maybe it does feel super tough, but there's so many beautiful things to be incredible and so many incredible things to be grateful for. Mm-hmm. And sometimes we just kind of get blinded by that little thing, or maybe it's a really big thing that we're stuck in. And then it just feels really heavy for a really long time. And it doesn't have to.
Yeah.
Because the choice to feel happy even in those tough times is completely ours.
Mm-hmm. Well, and we define what hard is, or like we think that something's hard, so it's going to be hard, right? And that's like one thing I've been thinking a lot about is like that our definitions, like, you know, to the universe, to God, creator, we've defined, like, it's like time. Mm-hmm. We've decided, okay, this is a month, this is 24 hours in a day. And like the universe, like we were listening to this morning, doesn't give two shits about your time frame, or like, it's like, oh, you want that, sure, you can have that, but it might not be exactly when you think. And then you just decide that, like I was reading something, or no, maybe I was listening. Yeah, I was listening to something the other day, and he had a really good point. He's like, you asked for something, and then he's like, so to put it in an almost an analogy form, he's like, you wouldn't text someone and then check your phone every 3 seconds. And then finally you just get so frustrated. You're like, well, clearly they're never going to message me because you've been incredibly impatient. Whereas if you just decided, okay, I'm going to send this message, when
And
they
let
get
it go.
to it, they get to it. Yeah. And you let it go. And then he said, you go do something for like 2 hours and you come back to it and there's the message, so you make a choice, right? So like we have defined time, we have defined hard or difficult or challenging, instead of just thinking, like you were saying, on the other side of fear, on the other side of challenge, on the other side of difficulty, on the other side of time, you're going to have the things that you want, and it doesn't have to be defined as like this horrible experience. But yeah, like, I mean, that's changed for me as well. So like change happens, I feel like, honestly, and I've said it before, but like with our friends, like I feel like one day I believed something, and then the next day I might come to you and be like, yeah, no, that doesn't feel like it's me anymore. So like, I'm sure the people that don't really know me, but kind of know me, are like getting whiplash. Severely.
And I was thinking right back to like just the simple, like, oh, well, yeah, like my favorite color is actually purple. And you go, yeah, but how can it be purple? It's been blue since I've known you. Right. And then all of a sudden we feel like, oh, maybe I'm not okay. You know what? Yeah, like blue is my favorite color. Like maybe we start questioning whether we're allowed to change, or like we have to have this answer and explanation for our life to this person who's questioning why we've changed our mind.
Yeah, but here's the bigger question I have. Like this is what's going through my head. Why are you so offended that I decided to change my color?
Exactly.
Is it because you haven't been honest with yourself about the color? And we're just talking very like, basic. Is it because you're offended because you haven't felt like you could change your color because you feel like you're going to offend someone by coming to them with a different color? Like, think about, like, I know that's so basic and so simple. It makes so much sense. Like I want to laugh about that because it's ridiculous. Like you wouldn't, right. Why would you question why is it so offensive to you?
This is true.
Right.
And then it makes you wonder, like, why, if anybody is questioning why you're changing your goals, that has nothing to do with you.
Yeah, no.
At all.
Yeah, it has to do with them. And what, like, I'm sorry, but set your own goals and worry about them, because I get to choose. I get to change whatever I want. I'm sorry if it gives you whiplash. But that's also the other thing is like surrounding yourself with people who are like changing as much as you are. It doesn't feel, but like, I'm just talking about like other people that you would step into contact with and they're like, what? And then, but not my problem. So
person with the problem is the person with the problem.
But we love chatting with you guys today about this. I mean, I know sometimes we kind of end up going all over the place, but it's exciting. I love change. So
just like an FYI, just because there's a title for our podcast episodes, like you're always going to get some extras, like a little glitter on top, because that's where we go. But our affirmation for today is, I accept change with ease and grace.
Have an amazing day.